Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, and this is my Angel of Death difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Operation 4 of 6. It is entitled Void Song. So this is a fantastic level for challenge and outright fun. I really enjoyed this chapter. It does have its difficulty, though, so you'll want to definitely pick up the crack grenades because while there aren't any escort missions in this chapter, there are there's at least one fight that's I would classify it as a gauntlet, and I think that's fair to say because you're going to be dealing with a Carnifex. And at the end of the fight, I won't spoil anything, but they throw a jump scare at you, and you're going to be surprised, but it's not going to cause you any problems. Now, I have started off with the plasma incinerator, and I think it's a good choice. In this room behind me now, I believe there is the LAS Fusel, if you want to pick that up. And that is a terrific weapon as well. But when you're trying to kill the Marines, it can take up to 3 shots with the Fusel. So that's a long time of needing to charge a weapon and potentially being vulnerable while you're doing it. And this weapon is basically an extension of the plasma pistol that you can have, and I have both. The plasma pistol and the plasma incinerator. But with the larger plasma weapon, it deals more damage. It lets you fire more before it overheats, and it has just a terrific ability to kill enemies with it. So I decided to forsake the Fusel in favor of this weapon over here. And there's a lot to this chapter. You've got a boss at the end in sections. You've got the Carnifex. You've got 1 or 2 gauntlets, and you've got access once again to the jump pack, and the first fight after this, because this fight's not too bad. If you stay back here, you're relatively safe from getting overwhelmed by any snipers. But the next part, there's a pair of Neuranthropes, and since they're not boss Neuranthropes, they can be instantly killed with throwing a crack grenade at them. So you'll definitely want to have picked up the crack grenades. There are more too. In fact, you know what? That room a moment ago where we had to lift the gate, I think that's not where the LAS Fusel is. I am going to pick it up, so it's going to be coming up in a moment. So I do apologize about that. The room that I was mentioning, that just has the plasma incinerator, but the thing is, I inherited that weapon through the armory going into the stage. That's why you didn't see me pick one up, because I didn't need it, and I had full ammo, so I didn't need to pick up the gun again. But on these different sections, though, there are snipers, especially on the Carnifex boss fight. There's going to be snipers on perches. Oh, that I was. Did you see that that slowdown and then it stopped right there? That's the fight that this happened into, and I'm glad that I'm seeing it back now, because I actually forgot about that. There's some more right there, some frame rate issues. This is being played on the Xbox Series X on the performance mode, which the developers, in their lingo, they call it speed mode. But You know, there's still hitches because this is quite an ambitious game, and it's a very beautiful one as well. So apparently, you do get you know that dip quite a bit. That was more than a dip. That I thought the game was crashed at that point. But yeah, that was really bad. So yeah, take the crack grenades into this next fight because I don't think that there are any in this fight. I know there's some shot grenades over here, but I think I'm trying to find a way for you if you wanted to pick up that fusel because I think you can't get it until after you clear this next fight. Yes, that's how it works. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So once you get into this area, I like to go to the right and rush these enemies. Oh, we're not quite there yet. I'm sorry, but you remember that slowdown that happened just a second ago? I don't get that too much. So that was an atypical situation and happenstance there because that never happens to me. Thankfully, it shouldn't. Melt a bomb there. I actually use a melted bomb on the Carnifex, and you'll laugh at how little damage it does this guy. I'm sorry, I keep saying that this fight is coming up, but it truly is coming up after this. So you've got some ground based critters over here, and then you've got one guy on a perch. But as far as like getting a job done, this weapon is fantastic. It's truly fantastic. The Fusel is great too, but it does have less ammunition. It's got a charge. You have to charge it, and you know that does take time. So here's the fight over here. So no med kits to speak of yet, but there is one in this area. But you're on your own for now as far as not being able to have any. I do like to rush this area though, like I said, and since we do start out with frags, I like to use the frags, clear up as many people as I can, and then in short order you will see these. These actually might just be the regular Zoranthropes. It's hard to tell. But did you see that? That was a throw that looked inaccurate, and it drifted over to him, and it locked onto him. I mean, I was already locked onto him, but it was like a homing missile. It sought him out, and it stuck to him, and it compensated for what looked like a bad throw on my part, even though. But look at this. Watch this. I'm gonna lock onto this next one, and I know that I missed this one. Yeah, here's some slowdown. I know that I missed this one. Watch this. How? Oh, I got it. Oh, okay. I know what it was now. Sorry about that. There's another pair of those guys with the Carnifex, and that sort of situation happens where I got one on one of them, and then the second try that I did, it just completely whiffed, and it was really disappointing because you cannot have those monsters with the Carnifex. They're just too problematic. They're gonna cause you to get distracted and overly hit. So once the fight is clear, though, but also if and this might sound funny too, but sometimes you might think you have the crack grenades on, but you have the frag grenades on because maybe you have two in your inventory, and you know you can't differentiate the icon like I can all the time. and then you think you're throwing a crack grenade at an enemy. You're expecting it to stick onto the enemy because it's a sticky grenade, and then it misses. But the thing is, it was a frag grenade, so it would never stick to the enemy. So it's always going to miss. So just make an allowance for that in your mind. Just make that absolutely sure you have the crack grenades equipped. But then even still, they're they're having you do a lock-on system, and you throw it. And I know they're shifty and they're flighty, but it should lock onto it and have no problem doing that. Here's the fusel over here. There's a relic over here, a guardian relic. Because remember on that first Zoranthrope that I threw the grenade on, it made this compensation, and it like auto corrected itself and drifted over to him and stuck on him. It went out of its way to go on him. So, there are those times, and then there are other times like you'll see pretty soon during the Carnifex boss fight where I outright miss, and I was locked on, and I was nearby him, and it just completely whiffed. And no, I did not have the frag grenades on. Obviously, I had the crack grenades. We've got some flamers down here as well. This is a pretty brief fight, I remember. But it's coming up in just a second, actually, as far as you're getting the jump pack, and then it's going to transition to the Carnifex boss fight. And I do go through a couple of falling in combat. So I do use a Guardian Relic, and I do have my teammates give me a revive as well. Because I'm not too proud to do that. I really think the fight is good, actually. Because even though you do have some snipers and such, there's at least one of them that you can hit an exploding canister at and instantly kill. But there's just a lot going on with that fight. Many things happening concurrently. And I believe, let me see, are there crack grenades on that fight? I can't remember. But just make sure you bring some into the fight for the I'm not sure what they are. Zoranthropes. Yeah, I know the Zoranthropes do those AoEs on the ground, and they do those shock waves that you have to dash through. Okay, are there any crack grenades over here? I'm trying to find this because I want you guys to have those. But it does look like I have them, so we must have picked some up at some point. Okay, yeah, this isn't much to speak of, but you will have, your standard lot of different warrior types. You're gonna have the enemies that we're fighting now, and plus a huge boss that is going to give you potentially some trouble, but it is a spacious environment. It's a huge location. There we go. And it really is just a matter of continually refilling your shields. You've got to do that. So, just always be on the lookout for that blue flashing circle, because that gives you, if you do it correctly and perfect parry it, you get a shield back, and that's yours. You deserve that. You earned it. Okay, so there's going to be a cutscene up here, and then it's going to transition into us having the jump pack, and then we're going to do the normal fare with doing this. And I just find that this weapon, it takes too many shots to dispatch enemies, whereas the plasma incinerator could do the job quicker. But I do really like the LAS Fusel. I like it quite a bit. But this is quite a controlled stage as well, because you really do need to hang on to your med kits coming into the Carnifex boss fight, because I know there is one med kit on that location that you can pick up, but try to have not used one, and make it so that you can have two plus a guardian relic that could really help you out. Okay, so where are we now? Just remember, there are areas behind me. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use this Fusel weapon to snipe some enemies, and then I'm gonna backtrack and show you the location of the plasma incinerator. So the Carnifex boss fight is coming up, so it will be your choice what you want to bring into the fight. This is just, I think, a good weapon because these enemies are so far away. But definitely peruse the environment with a jump pack, because there's a lot of hidden platforms with supplies on them. That slowdown was really bothering me too, because sometimes I get that when I leave my console on too long. So I always like to reset the console several times a day at least. If I don't know about saying it that many times. At least once, especially if I've left the console on overnight. Here's another Guardian Relic. When I want to play a new session, I definitely will reinvigorate the software. But down here, this is where the plasma incinerator is. There it is, right there. And I can't account for that nonsense that we saw a couple of times where the game just looked like it was crashed because the frame rate was so low. I mean, it wasn't a frame rate. It just, the picture stopped. But a couple of charges with this weapon kills these guys, and that's a quick way to kill them. And you need to be killing enemies quickly on this next part, because you have the looming threat of the Carnifex. So you're gonna have to make use of the frag grenades to clear clusters of enemies. That's very important. And always looking around for those exploding canisters. It looks like we don't have the objective yet. So what else do we need to do? Okay, there's a little bit more to this. Oh, here it is. Okay, and they gave you a check. They've given you a checkpoint or two by now. That's kind of what I was saying earlier in the walkthrough. I don't need to be catered with excessive checkpoints constantly, but I also dislike the what ostensibly feels to me kind of rude when they seem to put a little less thought and care into the placement of the checkpoints. And all I'm really asking for, all anybody asks for really when they play challenging games, is just for consistent consideration, thoughtful consideration of checkpoint placement. But the thing is that the mindset of it has to be on somebody that's playing on the hardest difficulty. So if you're just playing it on a casual level, you know, you're not going to need to have the same consideration doled out to folks like me and other people that that it's a little bit more important to. But I think that they should just allot themselves more time if they do need that, and do more testing. Okay, I think we're mostly done here. Are we mostly done? Because I know I see an objective down here. Okay. Man, this slowdown, unbelievable. And I don't have any background processes going on. Nothing like that. Everything is... The only thing I'm doing is I'm just recording the game. Okay, so get ready. This next fight is definitely a difficulty spike. And you'll see when I come in here that I go to the switch, and since it wasn't open, I thought maybe I can loot, and then they locked me out. So be careful about that. Don't come in here unless you've properly looted. But we do have a couple of crack grenades. We've got a guardian relic. We've got one heal. Fortunately, some of those supplies will be on the next fight, which will be coming up directly. I believe there might be a guardian relic in one of these alcoves. What do we have here? Is this a crack grenade too? That was a shock. Just max out your ammo as well. Goes without saying. But this is it's a pretty tricky fight. The checkpoint's wonderful though. They put it right down here for you. So I'm gonna rush this first part over here and hit one of these canisters and put these warriors to red, so that we can just finish them off a little bit easier. And then on their heels, there's going to be more pods dropping off enemies and more spawns coming in. Behind me and above me, at some point after you've killed X number of enemies, there's going to be a sniper up there. So I'm going to switch from my cracks to my frags so that I can do cluster kills at this point. But once I do throw the frags, I'm going to run back real quick and pick those crack grenades up, because those need to be placed on the flying enemies. And this is that part where one of them landed well, and then the other one, I was scratching my head because it completely missed. The sniper that I was just aiming at, don't shoot it. Shoot the barrel next to him. And then this is the one I was talking about just a second ago. Here's a med kit right there. But remember, you need to be grabbing those crack grenades, because the Zoranthropes. Well, let's just call them Zoranthropes, I guess. And I guess I am gonna just throw the remaining frags here and get my cracks back. Okay, where are they? They must be coming. Yeah, I can see them coming. Okay, so let's do this. We need to rush up to them, lock onto them. Oh no, I don't know. Oh, these are Neuranthropes. See, that landed. That was no problem. Perfect. Worked perfect. I had no issue. And then let's watch this now. And I think he knocks me down, but I'm locked on. Completely missed, and it was a wide miss. How the fuck does that miss like that? Jeez, you know, because the fight now is such a different situation than it would be if he'd be dead. You know, I could have a shield back, and he wouldn't be doing his goddamn hijinks. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. How does that whiff like that? Yeah, so these are Neuranthropes. They're just not boss tier ones, but and then my teammate steals the kill for the execution. Okay, so now you've got the Carnifex again that you've already fought from an earlier chapter. You need to be minding these perfect parry timings and opportunities. So I'm going to pick up a Melted Bomb too, probably, and see if we could do him any damage. And it does him some damage, but it's nothing to speak of. I'm not sure. But remember, when he bends his knees down, he's going to do a series of 3 projectiles. And if he gets staggered by one, it's easy to get staggered by another series of them. And of course, you've got barbs all over the place. You've got warriors and lesser enemies. So you just need to give him a wide berth, you know, and look for those opportunities. Any opportunity to perfect parry, any opportunity to execute, you need to do it. But you do have fallbacks here. I mean, you've got heals, you've got a Guardian Relic, presumably. You've got that. And this weapon is fantastic. Okay, so yeah, just give him a wide berth, and the bullet time dodges that you're required to do on him, I think they seem a little unfair, because I get them on this fight a few times, and it gives me the gun strike prompt, and that whiffs, and it just feels really bad. See, I got it. I got the gun strike prompt. I don't know what the hell happened. I was amidst some barbs there or something. But yeah, remember the series of 3 spore projectiles that he sends out. Okay, we did that one. That's okay. He's probably going to bend his knees down and do another series. See, there he goes. He bends his knees down, digs his claws into the ground, and that's how that's telegraphed. Oh boy, you need to watch out for that backhand that he does. So also just look for any opportunities if he's ever near exploding canisters, you know, shoot those. And the cover, the real thick cover, like the one we're behind now, you never need to worry about that disintegrating. You just need to worry about that move, because it's easy to get repeatedly staggered by it, and it takes off both your shields, I believe. So watch this damage here. That's ridiculous, and it touts itself as being this tremendous damage potential of a tool. And I think, how'd you think my timing was for it? He was more or less over it, don't you think? When I detonated it, and it deals them just that much damage, but. I don't know if there's any crack grenades in here, because it would be nice to be able to throw some on him. So I would do charge attacks too with the gun. Oh man, see, I got staggered once, and it's so jeopardized my ability to recover and dash that I got staggered again, and then that put me to critical, and I died, and I used my revive in the form of the Guardian Relic. So you need to definitely be mindful of watching for that telegraph. But I think it's a decent enough space. I mean, this is a lot of space. When we fought him before, we were in a pretty small room. And most of the stuff in that room was destructible as well. And it seems like he does like to go after your teammates quite a lot too, which is really fortunate because then you can get your bearings, do your your transitions, transfer your movement, your placement, pick up stuff that you need, have a look around. Oh, that was great. See, you need stuff like that to stay alive. And I will be falling in combat again, so don't worry about it. Oh man, I'm just getting I'm getting juggled by his charges. But we know what he's gonna do. He's gonna do that. He always does it. He does it so frequently. Nice. We're dealing him some really good damage. Our teammates aren't helping out too much, but at least they're taking some of the aggro off of us. Ooh boy, and I got the bullet time. Okay, stuff like this, I don't understand with this boss. I completed the bullet time. I did what you asked, and then he retaliates in a troll-like fashion. So I don't know what to think about it, except to think negative things about it. Okay, so that is a cleared Carnifex, and do you remember the tongue-in-cheek thing that I said that the game does over here? Is that, well, it'll play out for itself, and you can have your jump scare if you want to, but we're not done with this chapter, essentially. So, you notice it says the Carnifex again, and then there comes several of them over here. I don't know, 2 or 3 of them. But it's a scripted sequence, so you don't need to worry about it. But like I said, the chapter is not over, and the enemies will just get killed, and then you're going to be actually, I think, we'll be in a familiar space over here. This looks to be the hallway to the boss over here. So the boss, I really like this boss fight. I do think that the first segment of him, there's 2 segments. Second segment is easier, but it's really fun as well. And there's no lackeys on it either. But the sword is what you're going to use on the second phase, and the gun mostly is what you'll use on the first phase. So you'll have to get your parries down on this boss fight because he does some quick attacks, and you'll definitely want to pick up the crack grenades on this. And I don't know if I know that the room that the boss is in. What am I picking up over here? Because I think at one point, yeah, I can tell by the reticle that I have the plasma incinerator, but they gave me something else over here, and I don't know what it was. But here's the fight with Amura, and for some reason they just gave me this gun. I'm not sure if they modified the fight, but he does have these purple satellites that you'll have to destroy, and he is a very quick boss, meaning that he's going to be moving around a lot, so you need to keep track of him at all times and keep shooting him regardless. And then don't waste your crack grenades though, trying to throw those on him when he's flying around the room too much. It's when he goes to the center of the room, that's when, see this? This is like Gears of War 3 Myra solar flare nonsense that just get behind the column. But look how much damage this does. I'll throw a couple up there. That's the damage that you want to see. That's a hell of a lot of damage. So again, just make sure that he's in place when you throw those, and you can capitalize on damage that way. And you're going to have the troll-like warriors. You're going to have some lesser enemies. And for some reason, I did this in a way where and it could have been that I put him down to an HP threshold that the game couldn't cope with or something. I'm not sure. But there can be the rubric Marines on this, which is going to be a problem for you if, like a lot of people and me, you're trying to keep tabs on what the boss is doing. So you really need to be laying in wait for the openings to do the perfect parry on the smaller enemies to keep getting your shields back. And you'll need to, of course, watch out anytime the solar flare goes off there. Just get behind the cover. That actually has some bad memories for me from Gears of War 3. But so we are out of crack grenades, but have a look around the room, because if you are, you're coming off the Carnifex boss fight, so your supplies are going to be presumably limited and to some degree, unless you did very, very well on the Carnifex. So there is, and there are supplies in this room, and I think they do populate at certain periods in the fight. So even if you don't see a med kit at some point as the fight progresses, you'll probably see one around. But it's a huge room, and getting to any one place amidst all of this chaos can be a pretty tall order for yourself. You need to be careful of his purple laser beam as well. And we have a heal. We have a heal. Oh, there are crack grenades. Perfect. So see how the game populated that for us? So throwing those crack grenades. Let me see if I can land these. I want to see if I land these. I know there's other targets on the ground, but I can aim my camera up and still... can you lock on? I don't think you can lock on him, but that's perfect. For some reason, you can't lock on him, but it's no less accurate for landing those. And it's probably because of those bursts of damage that you do him that you won't see the Marines. And even if you do, it's not the end of the world, but it is nice to have those chunks of health just fall off of him. It's really nice. But I do appreciate the next fight, because the next segment of the fight with him, because there are no lackeys, and it is it kind of reminds me of God of War 2. The Sisters of Fate. Right before the Loom Chamber, there's those great stadium fights, and it reminds me of one of those. I'm not sure who you fight, but it does. As far as I'm telling you, it reminds me of it because it's a very smooth and very precise level of melee combat and parrying on this second phase. And in just a second, we will be on that phase, and he is he's going to attack you off of a teleport at first. So wait for him to teleport. He attacks very quickly, but you just need to acquire the timing for it. And I was able to get off 3 to 4 strikes before. I'm talking about I perfect parried him, and then I would hit him with my sword 2 to 3 times, or maybe even 4. You could get away with the full combo, and then do the gun strike. So you'll capitalize on damage that way. One of the things that you definitely need to worry about though is when you do see other iterations of him and purple AoEs on the ground, there is a temptation at that point to maybe follow that up with a gun strike because it occurs during those times. Don't. You need to roll out of the way because what will happen, and it happens on the final boss too, even in a more drawn out way, and it's horrible, but they'll have you lifted up into the air and you'll definitely lose your shields, and that will be awful for you. And you're just hanging into the air, and it's real bad. So he's almost done. Don't fuss with him too much as far as worrying about it. He's done. Okay, so here's the second phase. You do get a checkpoint. Parry, going for your. See, I did 3. I did a full combo there. And if he flashes red, remember you can still iframe through that and bullet time. Capitalize on bullet time. So in these instances here, you have to wait for him, and he's going to come back. It doesn't matter what way you're facing because you can parry in any direction, which is really nice. This game is wonderful in that way. But if he does come back, and you perfect parry, you get the gun strike, and nothing else happens, that's fine. Just combo him and shoot him with the gun strike. But the other instances where there's AoEs on the ground and there's other apparitions next to him, you don't want to get caught in that. You want to roll out of the way as fast as you can. This right here, anytime you see this, dodge out of the way, forego the gun strike. It's not worth receiving all that damage. And I just think this is a beautiful fight. Really like this. I'm getting a little risky on some of these bullet time dodges, but I feel that staying away from him and shooting him is just too laborious, and it just doesn't progress well enough because melee combat deals him the most damage. So there we go, parry, but we need to get out of the way of that. And you don't need to take all of his health off either. So have a try at it, have a go at it for, sit down for 25 minutes. You'll get his patterns, and it doesn't matter that he's fast, it's just you have to adjust to his traditional speed. And we didn't fall in combat. We used a heal, but that's perfectly fine. And I hope that this video helped you out. It was, once again, it was Operation 4 of 6. And I will see you in the 5th one. For Big Benedict Productions, please continue to take care.